We're on with Ryan. Today we welcome Councilman Ryan Webb, who is happily married to his wife, Brandy Webb, and has 6 children. I see your photograph of your wife is on your T-shirt there.
Yeah.
You told me it's your favorite T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
We give our utmost congratulations on your coming out as a lesbian woman of color. You declared this on your Facebook page on April 12th. That following words: "It is with great relief that I announce to everyone that I identify as a woman, and not just any woman, but as a woman of color as well. I guess this would make me gay, lesbian as well, since I am attracted to women," unquote. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much accurate. I believe that sounds familiar. It sounds like my post, so yes.
Well, it's a while ago, but we've, of course, heard about this. We are a public advocate. I'm the president of Public Advocate. My name is Eugene Delgadio. We've done some similar things that have gotten some reaction. LMNOP Plus is one of our viral videos with over 170,000 views. I'm in front of the White House, and I'm launching kidnapping the month of June away from the LGBTQ crowd, and we're calling a lifestyle of the mainstream, normal, ordinary people. So we have an idea of what you've been through just the beginning in the month that's happened since you did the Facebook post. I do want to say, for those of you listening to this program right now, this interview, Ryan Webb already has a GoFundMe page, which you can contribute to. He's been running it, and of course, we're urging everyone to give contributions on that. He's on Twitter at Councilman Webb. That's at Councilman Webb on Twitter. There are other websites promoting Mr. Webb, which we will get to, but we want to emphasize he just set up a legal defense group on Give, Send, Go, and it's called, the title of the website, the title of the page on Give, Send, Go is Support County Councilman Ryan Webb Legal Fund, and I'll repeat that several times through the interview. It's now day 27 of being a lesbian woman of color. How has it been? What is it like? And how are people reacting in general? What inspired you to change your identity?
Well, I would have to say I was probably influenced by social media, if I had to be honest about it, because, I would have ever done this any other time, but, I used to drive a truck, and I would, listen to videos each day, and I hear over and over and over the acceptance that everyone's getting. And, without that, I might sit on this and really not come out and been as comfortable doing so. But I believe that social media and probably national media, I would say I'd have to give them the credit to turning me more than anything. After, feeling comfortable enough to do so, I decided to go ahead and, just announce on my own Facebook account to my friends and family. Nothing crazy, nothing major. Just let everyone know that, at this point, I feel comfortable enough coming out to say that my self-perception of gender identity is as a woman of color. Now, I've mentioned it before, sometimes with gender fluidity, you might feel one way one day and another way the next. And, it's a complex journey, and we don't know where we'll end up. And, I think I've said on another program, sometimes we might end up right back where we started. So as of now, I'm still there as the woman of color. So we'll see where this wave takes me. I'm just along for the ride.
Well, it's quite a wave. I have to say that I've done political theater here at this side, and I've done over 100 productions, as I mentioned to you, in the green room when we were discussing the program and the outline of our program. I've done many things political, here in Washington for 40 years. And of those 40 years, I have never seen such a reaction as yours. I've gotten some really great press coverage, but it's nothing compared to you in 40 years of doing this here in Washington. I want to tell you we love you. We think you're wonderful. We think you're doing God's work, and your journey is our journey in every way, shape, and form. And we respect your introspection. We respect your humility. We respect your bravery for coming out the way you have. And you've helped me. You've helped me. You've helped many other people. You've helped America. Frankly, you've helped the world. And I don't think the world knows about you. That's why we're doing this program. I want to give you some of the reactions so that you could at least, give a shout out to some of the people that have helped you already. You've received news coverage nationally and locally, as well as both liberal media and conservative media. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Few people would be able to do this with such, being a truck driver that you are and a loving husband to your wife. I hope you know that you giving credit to your wife is one of the selling points that I think America and the world loves. There should be an overall welcoming and congratulations to you worldwide as the push for LGBT acceptance and encouragement for transgender surgery is an all-time high. Have the transgender and gays and homosexuals embraced you in what they're doing and what you're doing?
From the local leftists, I've been receiving an overwhelming amount of hate, intolerance, bigotry, racism, and just downright disgusting human behavior. Nationally, I've been overwhelmingly receiving support, almost 100 to 1, in favor of positive messages versus negative messages. But locally, we've got some pretty extreme leftists around here, and they've made it pretty hard on my life. They've been making these last few weeks pretty difficult, and they've tried to cancel me. They've tried to get me fired. They've tried to drive any wedge they could anywhere and anyhow they could. They've openly spoke about, keep up the pressure and hopefully he'll crack. So, I'm not someone who normally backs down pretty easily, but yeah, it was surprising that the group of people who promotes the inclusivity and the tolerance and acceptance is the group of people who has really been the most evil and shown the most hate. I've compared it to some, whether intentionally or unintentionally, with me coming out as a woman of color, it's kind of exposed their ideology, the facade of their ideology as really, they don't believe in either. If they did, they wouldn't be issuing all these guidelines for me that I'm supposed to do to be accepted by them. So I was really disappointed to see how quickly they gave up on their own ideology when it comes to someone that they didn't agree with. They changed pretty quick.
Well, it seems that you are practicing what you believe in, and you are simply adopting their agenda. And because you've adopted their agenda and you don't fit their particular political ideology, they're rejecting you, which makes it look like they are contradicting themselves, and they are hypocrites. And
Well,
you're doing that effortlessly by your testimony, because you're open to accepting them, but they don't want to accept you.
Well, part of the thing they've been the most upset about is, I said, listen, somebody said, how did you know that you were a woman, and are you going to, start dressing as a woman and doing the pronouns and the treatments for hormones? And I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to do anything different than I was, but when I was identifying as a man, because my idea of a woman isn't some caricature in a costume that can be taken on and off. So I don't have any intention to do any of those things. The other thing is, I have no desire to live as a woman. Look, I'll be the first to say I recognize that I see myself as a woman, but that doesn't mean that I want to be the woman. It just, it doesn't pick and choose who this affects. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you choose to view it, it affected me. So I'm not going to change anything about how I live my life. I'm not going to do the things that they think I should be doing based off of what they expect. And that's really what's got them the most upset, because they're going around telling everybody, you must affirm me, you must accept me, you must confirm my identity, you must validate me at all times. And I don't need any of that. I just said, I don't care if any of you believe me. I don't care what you say. I just said this for myself. And that's really what's got them the most upset, because they're like, hey, he's trying to change the order of which the rules that we've set, and the rules state that everyone must go along with the delusion. And me not asking anyone to participate in my delusion has really got them upset.
Well, that is a fantastic summary of really why they're annoyed. They're annoyed that you aren't going to put on the costume or say the proper words or cross the T when they have all these different dresses they wear, all these different makeups they wear, all these different, descriptions of their ideology and their sex and so on. But yet for you, you can't have your identify. You can't identify the way you feel you should identify. So the rights that they want for themselves, they don't want you to have any rights.
Yeah, that is true.
Unless you agree with them completely 100% on everything that they're pushing, which is essentially get me to accept the fact that you're a woman, right? You're not going to force me to accept you as a woman. You're just going to have a conversation about how you are a woman.
Yeah, that's all mine. Yeah, I'm not asking everyone to take this ride with me. I just said, hey, I'm getting on the ride, and I'm just letting you know, but I'm not making you come along with me. And yeah, that's got them really upset about that. And I got to tell you, very quickly, I turned in some of the most vile, disgusting behavior that I've ever witnessed. And it's been dangerous, and threatening, and all simply because their views don't align with mine. But I have a feeling a lot of it has to do with me being a conservative Republican. I think if I was a far left, intolerant liberal, that maybe they would have been a little bit more accepting, probably a lot more accepting. I said something before, if the liberals in charge, they might be naming a local park after me. But being as such they're not, I would say that, there won't be much recognition, if any, other than just the online hate that I'm experiencing.
This is really a fantastic response. The people here that are in the studio are doubled over in laughter in response. And I know you have a lot. We're going to get into the reaction of the country, how they've reacted to you, like you were saying. And I want to repeat that, Councilman, you are a brave man, and we want to help you, and we want to make people, everyone know that there is a GoFundMe page that you have set up. Give, Send, Go. Give, Send, Go is a Christian website that collects money, and that you have had to have a legal defense fund for people that are suing you and making representations. You're the most unthreatening, wonderfully funny human I've ever met. Your entire demeanor is humorous and good-spirited and peaceful, but you have to defend yourself, and you have a Give, Send, Go page under the title Support County Councilman Ryan Webb Legal Fund.
Yeah, if I could say real quick, because some people might see that and go, okay, this is just a shtick to gain money. I think it's important people understand that I didn't ask for any of the attention that this story's come with. When I made this post, it sat there for a week with really just a few local comments. It wasn't until a local transgender activist got a hold of it and decided to make it a national story, shared it with all the far left hate groups, and they tagged all the major news outlets, and they were determined to blow this up to a national story. And I wasn't seeking the publicity. I declined every interview for 3 weeks. I declined probably a dozen interviews or more. And it wasn't until the story got so twisted out of what it really was that I felt like, okay, I better do something so I can kind of set the record straight. So when that happened, these people just really, really dug in harder and tried to attack me and cancel me. They've called my job. They blitzed my job with hundreds and hundreds of calls trying to get them to fire me, get rid of me. That way it'll be less hassle. They've showed up at my house and dumped trash all in my yard. So they made it very threatening. And so I had to increase some security. So that was an expense. But really what led to the legal fund was the fact that, I got 6 children. a baby, 11 months old, and some of the hate that we've received. I'd made a post, a social media post, and I said, I feel threatened. My life and family feel threatened. And, these are the people, these are the 12, 13 people who are the main ringleaders with this. And it's not that they're threatening me, but their lies and misinformation is inspiring other people who read it to want to then go threaten me because they believe the lies they're seeing. So I said, I think these people are dangerous and you should know who they are. If you're their neighbor, here's their names, here's their pictures, here's where some of them work. And the way they responded to that was that they were going to sue me for protective order, saying that I threatened them. So they're trying to group together 14, 15 of them and bombard me with, drown me out in legal bills and file personal protective orders against me. So that's why we had to set up the funds, the defense fund, just to be able to keep our heads above water while they continue to try to cancel me. They're not going to stop until they either shut me up or they bury me in legal issues. So yeah, any support that I could get to help continue the fight is much appreciated, and I thank America for it.
Well, we will make sure that this message gets out, that you need some help. We know that Jesse Waters should have you back on. You were on Jesse Waters, and he said, here's a quote from Jesse Waters on Fox TV News. Indiana Councilman Ryan Webb didn't let being a white man stop him from making history. He now identifies as the first lesbian woman of color to serve on his county council. He shatters, but turns out the tolerant left isn't so tolerant after all. They treated you, was that your first interview, Jesse Waters?
It was. I had done, I was in the works to do something with a guy on a radio show in Alabama, but yes, Jesse was the first one. I actually had Tucker Carlson's old show called me and wanted to do one, and I told him I was getting ready to do Jesse in a couple hours, and they were wanting me to hold off on Jesse to do it with them, and I said, I'd like to do it, but they've already sent a camera guy to my house. I feel like a giant jerk if I told them that I was going to do something else when they'd already sent a camera guy out to my house. So yeah, Jesse was the first.
The other show was Greg Gutfeld. Greg Gutfeld again on Fox. He said, "You go, girl. You are giving them some of your own medicine, but those meds are not puberty blockers." Did you know about that? Did you know? I
did. Actually, Gutfeld was one of the interviews that I declined. And they told me that they were going to go ahead and run the story anyway, which I said that's perfectly fine. But yeah, the Gutfeld had reached out to me to do an on-air interview as well.
Well, I'm honored that you would accept our interview and come on this tiny little podcast, if you want to call it that. Pierce Morgan said Pierce Morgan. They were discussing you. Why can't we have the same rights the left has? Which is, again, what most of what we're talking about and what your message is. Why can't we have the same rights that the left has? You, Councilman, are just holding up a mirror for the ideology that the left had built from Pierce Morgan. So he has an understanding. Have you been on with him?
Yes, I did talk with Pierce, and he's pretty good at understanding the hypocrisy of the left, and he could see how it doesn't really make any sense that they'll tell you, whatever a person identifies as, that's what they are, and everyone has to accept it. There are no qualifying factors. We don't require them to prove it. We don't require them to show us in any way. If they believe in their heart that they are how they see themselves, then we all must accept it, and we must all jump on that ride with them and affirm them and validate them. Pierce was able to recognize that when it comes to me or someone that they disagreed with, I'm not the only one. Caitlyn Jenner is another example. Caitlyn Jenner has done all those steps, done a lot more than I have, changed the pronouns, changed the name, the appearance, and they still don't accept her because she's not a liberal, she's a conservative. So it's really damaging to their ideology and their cause, and that's what I told Pierce. With this whole mirror thing, they're destroying their own ideology that they worked for years to build. And I'm just standing back and letting them. They're doing it all with their own words and actions. Every time they attack me, they're attacking their own ideology. every time they tell me, you must wear the clothes, change your name, take the hormone treatments. Every time they say that, they are turning the clock back on their own ideology several years. You know, maybe 5 years ago, we were all saying, okay, if you do all those things, we'll accept you. Well, they fought real hard to get to a point now where all you have to do is declare it. So it was disappointing to see them throw all that away and voluntarily go back 5 years to demanding proof. And I just don't think they had the foresight to see down the road to realize that when they're doing that to me, tomorrow society's going to expect that from the next person who comes along. The next person who comes along may be on their side, and they just made it a lot harder for that person.
Well, what you're doing, again, to emphasize this, is heroic. You're effortlessly, like a jiu-jitsu champion, just flipping their whole argument on its side, and they're coming at you with the death threats and the violence that's visiting your home, and the lawfare. It's called lawfare, by the way, when you file a frivolous lawsuit, because again, like I said, you're not someone that you need an order of protection. It should be laughed out of court, but they're doing lawfare against you to wear you down. But they're showing that they are by themselves not the people that they've represented to everybody else. They're not the people that they claim to be. They're not the accepting liberals. You're actually more of a liberal than they are. You're more of a compassionate human being, open-minded person than they are. Your colleagues on the council, how are they responding?
Well, you know, before I answer that, I want to thank you for the jiu-jitsu champion comparison. I feel like it's appropriate to let you know that I was a yellow belt in karate when I was about 12. So I don't know about a jiu-jitsu champion, but I've got a trophy or two back in my kick'em days. So, but as far as the fellow council members, they're all Republicans, fellow Republicans. They've not said anything publicly. Now, privately, some of them, well, I'm not going to name the one, but one of them unfriended me on Facebook over it, which, that was a death blow. That really hurt my feelings. And the rest of them, even though they've not said anything publicly, I know they really wanted to. They've told two different council members had told some citizens who were there at the meeting to demand my resignation, which I would never, ever do. I would never resign. After that meeting was over, they asked a couple of the council members what was to be done, and they let them know that a statement condemning me and my actions and my statements would be forthcoming. And that was a couple of weeks ago, and so far nothing's happened. I don't know if they were just telling those people that to kind of quiet them up and make them feel better at the moment, or if they really intended to issue a condemning statement against me. Fortunately, if that's the case, the positive, overwhelming support I've received across the country has probably made them think twice about that. I'll give you an example. My own local Republican Party apparently going to issue a statement against me, condemning me, wants nothing to do with me. But just last week, I was one of the guest speakers for the Oklahoma GOP state delegates convention, along with Roger Stone and General Michael Flynn. And I delivered the open remarks at their barbecue and gala event. And I just find it somewhat amusing that our own local party is wanting to distance themselves from me, but the entire Oklahoma Republican State Party is making me their guest speaker. So it's really a weird contradiction.
It is, and I think leadership, sometimes the test of leadership is to see past the confusion. And sometimes local Republicans are reacting to the trouble that you're causing. And I have to say, I was on the Board of Supervisors of Loudoun County for 16 years, and I was Trump-like in my service from 1999 to the year 2015. So I was overlapping the Trump era. But I left public office, and during that whole time, there were a lot of people who, like your colleagues, weren't sure that being too conservative is the right thing, or saying what is honest is the right thing. So
Well, I've got a history here. I'm the most outspoken elected official in all of Delaware County. The rest of them keep their mouths quiet because they don't want to upset voters. And I don't make my decisions based off of upsetting voters or not. I speak my mind on things. Some of them call me the Trump of Delaware County, which I've never said that, but I think that's funny. But I was outspoken on the vaccine mandates and mask mandates. I tried to get an ordinance passed to ban the mandates within our county, and I couldn't really get any support. So I've been a thorn in their side for quite a while. So I think when this first happened, they were probably excited at the opportunity to think, okay, now we have an opportunity to either reprimand him or kick him off the council. But the longer this has went on, with more and more Republicans all across the county or the country contacting me to show support, and not just contacting me, contacting the local Republican Party, and they're letting them know you cannot issue a statement against him, because then that will be worse, because you're caving to the leftist liberals who are trying to push you into a corner. So they have a real dilemma on their hands. On one hand, they issue a statement against me, but they have to cave to the local leftists to do it. On the other hand, they've got me over here coming out and to identify however I choose, and they don't like that neither. So I really think they maybe just don't know what to do about it, and they're probably just hoping it'll go away soon and die down. And I can't blame them for that. So if they're not going to issue a statement of support, I would rather them just sit quietly, and that's what they've been doing.
I hope they continue to mull this over. I think most people are afraid of leadership. They're afraid of making life better for everyone by being brave. So your wife, if she's putting up with you, I hope to God she is, and understands your sense of humor about this.
Oh, my wife's very, she's been with me a long time, so she knows, pardon me, she knows who I am and what I'm about. So yeah, my wife is.
One of the interviews said that you were helping her run for something. Now you're on the Delaware County Council.
Mm-hmm.
And she's on a city council?
Well, she ran for city council. She was never into politics, but once I got into politics and she saw how disgusting it could be, she decided that she wanted to also get involved to try to change it.
Now, of course, as I've told you, as we see it, your conversion is a self-declaration for a major step for the entire transgender movement worldwide. That's how we look at it.
Sure.
And, have there been others coming forward? Has Megyn Kelly, who also has a sense of humor, is she going to become a man? Has Megyn Kelly called you? She's really in up to her knees on this. There's a woman named Riley Gaines, who's a big sports figure. Has she contacted you to share notes?
I've not heard from Riley Gaines or Megyn Kelly, and I follow them both, and I'm a fan of both of them. So no, I've not heard from them. But yeah, I would love to talk to them. So if they give me a call, I'd love to speak to both of them. But no, as of now, I've not heard from them. And my number's out there. A lot of people.
Number's out there. We got a hold of you, and
Yes,
I think you would do really well with Megyn Kelly. Your actions are bringing great awareness to this, and all over the world. Has there been, in your opinion, based on the you're getting trouble, you are causing trouble, you have a sense of humor, you're still married, you're trying to keep your head above water, possibly run for higher office, have a legal fund. Beyond the din of the current situation, which we're helping with by this program, has there been a change in humanity that you've seen overall? In other words, by your actions and by your behavior, which of course, the other side, we know how they're feeling about it. They're like yowling with pain over your pleasant demeanor. But do you see an overall progress for humanity because of your effort? Because you always want to do that. You always want to know.
Well, I got to tell you, I kind of didn't see it at first. In my life, my phone's ringing hundreds of times a day, hundreds and hundreds of calls a day, and I answer every phone call, and or I call them right back. And so many people were shocked. They were like, "Oh my God, I didn't expect you to answer the phone. I don't even know what to say. I didn't think you would answer." And I'm just a regular guy. Of course I'm going to answer the phone. So, and they expressed to me how meaningful this is and how much of an impact it's having on the country. And in my own little world, I just assumed that this is a big deal because I'm the one living it. But I asked someone, I said, give me your viewpoint from someone who's not me. Is this really as big as what I'm feeling, or is this just seen that way because it's me living it? And he said, no, this is big. This has really moved the needle on a national level. This is having people, inspiring people to have conversations about a topic that up until this point people wasn't talking about. They were nervous to talk about it. They were scared to talk about it. They were intimidated to talk about it because, you know, if you don't agree with someone, the left will try to cancel you. And, you know, people are afraid to be put in that position. There were several people who in the beginning, I call it their fake outrage. They seemed mad, almost because they thought they were supposed to seem mad. They agreed with everything I said, but they thought that they were supposed to be mad. And then after a few days went by and enough people told them, no, we love this, we support everything he's doing, then they felt comfortable enough. They got permission from society to agree with it. And then they come out and say, okay, well, I'm not mad either, you know. And so, yeah, it's really made a big move on the country, and a positive move in my mind. This is something that needs to be talked about. This is something that needs to have a little bit of pushback, if you will. People say, well, that's weird. You're talking about pushback. You're identifying as a woman of color, and you're talking about pushback. Well, yeah, I am identifying as a woman of color, but that doesn't mean that I agree with the ideology. I'm just accepting of what it is because social media told me that that's what it was. It doesn't change the fact that I completely disagree with it. And I think that it's something that can get way out of control and influence our kids too much, you know. And I'll tell you out there, if you've got kids and they got smartphones, you need to monitor their content, because if it could change me, then it could probably change your kid as well.
Amen. Now, I wanted to, you said earlier about how Republicans nationwide are embracing you, and obviously major media, conservative media, and so on. National conservatives should use humor and be able to provide a perspective that you're providing the world by your testimony. I mean, the Republican National Committee should have you addressing the National Committee on your humor. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
Well, if they do, I'm willing to accept if they want to give me a call.
Yeah, I hope that there are members of Congress like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and others that will call you. We'll make sure that you're.
I'm a big fan of all of them, but I've not heard from them.
What would you like to encourage others to do right now? I mean, generally conservatives Republicans, whatever, have done a very bad job, very poor job of humor. So what would you like people to do? What is the exercise that you perform, or the whatever the type of principle that you would want them to embrace, if you're able to put it in plain words, which you have been able to do already so well in this interview?
Well, what I would say is, if you believe in something, this is a life lesson for anyone, if you're willing to look for the lesson. And the lesson is, you stand on principle or you don't stand at all. You know, if you believe in something, then you speak out about it. You don't let them back you in a corner and silence you because society is telling you, no, you're not allowed to believe that, or you're wrong, or they're trying to intimidate you and bully you into being quiet. So the lesson is, speak out. Now that goes both ways. If you're someone who believes that you self-identify as a opposite gender, then stand on your own 2 feet and declare it. And who gives a crap what everyone says about it? You got to be able to stand up for what you believe in. Now, if you're someone else who's against that ideology, don't be quiet about it. Don't worry about them calling you a bigot. Don't worry about them calling you a transphobe or a racist. If you feel in your heart, I'm a conservative Christian Republican, Okay, if you feel in your heart that that goes against your beliefs and it's nonsense that a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man, then say it. Or at the very least, if you're not going to say it, don't go along with it. You don't. Not everyone. The left tells you if you're not in the fight, then you're just as guilty. They say it's not enough to be just not racist or not a transphobe. You have to be an anti-racist, which means you have to be calling out every single person every time you see something. Well, some people just aren't confrontational people, so they don't want to do that. And I'm not suggesting that anyone who disagrees with that ideology be confrontational. You don't have to be confrontational. But at the same time, you don't have to go along with it neither. And I think if enough people just said, you know what, that's crazy. I don't believe in that. I'm not going to go along with it. I'm not going to put my pronouns in my signature on my email at work. I'm not going to refer to someone by their weird pronoun just because they're asking me to. If enough people do that, it fizzles away. I mean, people only do what they're allowed to do. I used to be in management a long time, and I used to tell my employees, you're going to teach me how to manage you because I'm only going to do whatever you allowed me to do. So that's the same thing they're doing. They're only doing what we're allowing them to do, and we give an inch, and then they take a foot, and then we give another inch, and they take a foot, and they just keep going. It's never going to stop. And Republicans think, well, if I just give in on this one little issue, that'll be it. That's not how it works with these folks. They're going to keep taking and keep taking and keep taking. The only defense is to stand up for what you believe in and dig in. And, let the chips fall where they may and stand on your principles.
We will stand with you. We will not desert you. We will revisit you in a little while, and I hope that others do too. I hope Jesse Waters and Pierce Morgan and others, Tucker Carlson, go back on those programs because they want to keep an eye on you. I'm sure they do.
Sure.
And
I've got a guy that I've been working with at the Patriot Sentinel. I did an interview with him. His name's Steve at the Patriot Sentinel. And he stayed in touch with me every day since then. He's the one who set up the deal with the GOP State Delegates Convention in Oklahoma. He and his media team were working on a website for me. They've been offering some legal advice for me. And I did the interview with him over a week and a half ago. So I got to give them a lot of credit. They've been sticking with me every day all the way through this. So, yeah, if others want to come back and stick with me, I appreciate that as well.
We will stick with you. We do want to, again, promote on our 17 platforms. We have, by the way, promoted Riley Gaines in 20 different videos. And she comes out with a statement, and we boost that, and we get that to over 1 million people. We do the same thing with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're going to treat you like we've treated Riley Gaines and Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're going to boost them and support them on social media, obviously, and Tucker Carlson. And we put you right up there, Councilman.
I appreciate that.
Right up there with those stars who are out there on the front lines. You're just beginning. You're just beginning. Nobody understands humor as good as someone who practices it.
Well, my wife doesn't think I'm very funny.
Well, you are hilarious because your delivery is not, slapstick. Okay. Like, I don't want to mention names, but there are people who do a really good job at this. And no, I'm not referring to Mr. Gutfeld. But the idea is you are right up there in my eyes, and people will sustain you and keep with you. And I know you have a Give, Send, Go page under the title Support County Councilman Ryan Webb Legal Fund. We're going to promote that. I know you're on Twitter, and you're also on GoFundMe under, what is it under, Ryan Webb?
Let me see here. I had it right here. It was GoFundMe. It's called I Support Ryan Webb, Help Continue the Fight.
Okay, I support Ryan Webb, help me continue the fight.
Yes.
But you prefer the legal defense because that's just a new threat that has come out in the last week, which we will make sure we push that on Give, Send, Go. It seems to me you're a genius. I said at the very beginning, I said, I've been doing this for 40 years here in Washington. You're a genius. Thank you for hijacking what up until now was a one-way conversation. It's now a two-sided conversation, really due to your effort. Thank you for standing for the values you believe in, that I believe in, and that I support you in your how you've done it, discussing the gender corruption of our youth and how you're afraid for our youth. Your courageous fight is important for all of us. Thank you and God bless you. Did you have anything to add? Are we okay to finish?
You know, we're good to finish. I wanted to add, thank you to you for reaching out and asking to speak to me, to your entire team who I've been communicating with over the last few days. I also want to thank everybody who's reached out, all the calls, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls and emails and texts. And yeah, if you've got my number, feel free to give me a call. Most people are respectful. They keep the conversation 3 to 5 minutes. They know I've got a lot of calls coming in, but yeah, I'd love to hear from everyone in America and beyond America. So, we have a collective power together, and the silent majority always rises to the occasion. We just got to harness our power and utilize it. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Councilman, and maybe Congressman Webb, God willing. Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now.